Is she in?
She is. Madam President, you are now live.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started with the Waukegan Public Library Board of Trustees meeting. It is Wednesday, May 19th, 2021, and it is now 6:32, and I call this meeting to order. And let's do a quick roll call. Josue,
Present.
Robbie,
Present.
Tatiana,
Present.
Brian,
Present.
Larry, we're doing a roll call.
It doesn't appear that he's connected to audio. He probably can't hear you.
Okay, Jean. Jean, are you with us?
Hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Larry, are you with us? And Martha, while Larry, we can see Larry. so
Yeah,
we'll-
can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, Larry.
Okay, all right, finally, okay. Oh my goodness, okay, thank you.
I'm here.
Okay, thank you. So we have a quorum tonight and we can conduct business. We do not have any public comments, so we'll move right on down to the agenda and the minutes. So go ahead and read over the agenda and read over the minutes. And when you're finished, I'll entertain a motion to approve both.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda for the Waukegan Public Library Board of Trustees, Wednesday, May 19th, 2021.
I'll second.
Second.
Brian, was that Brian the second? Okay. All in favor, roll call, Josue,
Aye.
Robbie,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Tatiana,
Aye.
Jean, Martha.
Aye.
Okay, Jean, we can't hear you. You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you now.
Okay, I said yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion carried, and that's for the minutes and, I'm sorry, for the agenda and also for the minutes. Okay. So moving on down to the Finance Committee.
Yes, thank you. Very
We
good.
skipped over the minutes, no?
Was that for the minutes and for the agenda? Oh, I'm sorry, for the agenda. So then let's go back to the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes? Thank you, Josue.
So moved.
In a second.
I second to approve the minutes.
Okay, all in favor now, Josue,
Aye.
Robbie,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Tatiana,
Aye.
Jean,
Yes.
and Martha.
Aye.
So it has been motioned and properly second, and roll call so that we all approve the minutes for last month. Now moving right along. Okay, go ahead, Larry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, we had our Finance Committee meeting a short time ago, and we looked at all, and first of all, in our board packet tonight, there you should all have in there a document called the Summary of Actual versus Budgeted Results for the 12-month period for the 12-month ended April 30th of 2021. And this is a summary of libraries revenues and expenditures, cash on hand. I looked at it and I saw nothing out of the usual, and a lot of the, if you notice, the total expenditures are minus 14%, and it's all due to this pandemic that was so totally unexpected when we prepared and approved this budget last year. And so a lot of this has to do with repairs and maintenance, cleaning services, some administrative costs related to this pandemic. However, if you look down at the net result in column 1, the net result, there's $880,340 that we're not in the black. We're not in the red at all. Excuse me. We're not in the red. We're in the black. So that is a good figure, even though the minus 14% of the budget remaining is concerning. When you look at the net result, that is in the positive, in the black. And now, Anna, are you there yet, Anna? Perhaps Anna isn't. She explained the summary more so and all this, but so we discussed it, and we saw nothing as our finance committee of to be alarmed about or concerned about. It all makes sense. So any comment, question about the summary of actual versus budgeted results for the 12-month period ending April 30th of 2021?
May I ask a question?
Certainly.
So my question will be, is that when the library goes back to normal, based on the increased attendance in the library, what do you think the percentage that the budget will go up by month, and then will we still remain in the black?
That sounds like an
I'll-
Anna question.
Our budget for the next fiscal year 22, was budgeted for only several months, like 3 months that we don't have full capacity. How it's going to go every month, I don't know. I mean, if you asked me a year ago if we were have, almost $20,000 in cleaning, I would never thought of that. So I don't know. But either way, we will not be in the red. Does that answer your question?
Yes. So, but that's hard to plan that way. But the thing is that what I would ask is that, is there going to be meeting with the custodial staff regarding when the library goes back to normal? What would be the increase in the the services as far as budget? What is the amount that they're looking at in order to maintain the protocols of cleaning, but with more people being in the library? So is there a way that we or the library can have a meeting with them so they can at least give an estimate of how much it's going to be the increase in the budget per month when it does go back to normal? So that way we can plan.
Yes. Yes, we can do that. However, our cleaning part of it is we have outside cleaning, but that's why the salary expense is a little lower. We sort of shifted from the personnel expenses to some outside consultants. So if we're back to normal, the cleaning would not be this much. We will use possibly, don't know at this point, our employees, and also very possible buy less hand sanitizers. Don't know at this point.
I still think that there's some way we have to have something concrete, because we don't want to have a shortfall, but at the same time we want to ensure that the patrons are safe and also the employees are safe in the facility. That's a thing. So it's just like a balance there, I guess, there has to be done.
May
Yes,
I add
I
a comment? So as
certainly.
we're continuing to expand our services and bring in more people on site, we do what we call a 30-day plan. So we're looking at everything every 30 days, every 30 days out. So there is a constant monitoring, and Chuck, who is our building engineer, as well as Anna, is involved in that. So they would be looking at the cost, and we'd have sort of a fairly good picture of where we need to increase or decrease based on CDC recommendations, the amount of people in the building, things like that, so that we can control those costs.
Thank you. All right, any other questions, comments about this document? All right, so hearing none, then let us go on then to look at the monthly board check detail for the Waukegan Public Library for April 2021. You should all have that document. It has multiple pages. I should say that our finance committee also discussed this document, the monthly board check detail for April of 2021. And we discussed, I raised some questions on just what's this, what's that? And there was a motion seconded and approved to bring it to your, to the meeting tonight for your final approval. We approved it. So any questions about any of the expenditures for the public library on these, on this document? All right, hearing nothing. Is there a motion to approve the April 2021 disbursements?
Make a motion that we approve the April 2021 disbursements report from the Finance Committee.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Very good. So perhaps Sylvia, would you then take over the roll call at this point? I presume you would. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, who's at the second that?
That was me, Rob.
Robbie, okay. Okay, so Josue,
Aye.
Robbie,
Aye.
Ryan,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Anna,
Aye.
Jean,
Yes.
Martha,
Aye.
and yes for myself. So the motion was carried. Thank you, Larry, for your report.
Thank you. And thank you, everyone. I thank you all. Thank you.
Okay, John, you want to go ahead with your report for the night?
Yes, Madam President, thank you very much, esteemed colleagues and Board of Trustees. I am honored to present the Acting Executive Director's report. It has been a busy month. We are putting finishing touches on our app, so hopefully soon we'll have a trial version of the app to use and train the staff with. We are coming up on June, which is Pride Month, so we'll be participating with city activities for the Pride Parade and so forth. But also at the beginning of June, we start our summer library program called Reading Colors Your World. It's the iRead state program that we participate in, and it's going to be a really fun one for kids ages 0 to 121. There is a link in the email that I sent out to the trustees, so please do sign up as trustee members and participate in our summer program. It tracks reading, it tracks activities. There's a lot of fun stuff coming this summer with activities especially, so stay tuned. Also, Juneteenth coming up on June 19th, the library is going to be closed because of the board closing the library for Juneteenth. We will still be active in the community and participating in Juneteenth activities as a library. So stay tuned as we get closer to the date for more information. The building is in good shape. We are changing out a water fountain downstairs that sprung a leak. We are also proposing tonight to do some signage updates as requested from the Board of Trustees at a few meetings ago. So we've gotten some quotes from sign companies, as well as the possibility of pitching a tent in our courtyard. It has proven to be a little more challenging because of the odd dimensions of our courtyard, but we have one quote in the packet tonight to discuss, and I wanted to request your support to increase spending thresholds to be able to do that with board approval, of course, when the time is right. So as far as personnel, We have one new hire, Alicia G, joined the maintenance department in janitorial to work weekends part-time to custodial support. And then we also welcome Severo C, who is joining the Education Literacy Services Department as a coordinator, along with Manny H and Jennifer C, two current staff members. They will be coordinators for our Functional Health Literacy Program, IDPHA, grant for community health workers. So we've also recently promoted, and I failed to put their name in the email, but Vishali G and Dawn L have been promoted to coordinate the branch service and home delivery service respectively. So it's very exciting. Their excitement is contagious, and we're going to see some great things come out of this group of people when we start launching these new services. We also are going to be soon posting a web administrator and a marketing coordinator position. And those are some of the things we've been discussing in terms of HR. For May 1, we reopened to 1-hour appointments in the library building, and the number of computers have expanded to available to patrons. We're allowing live browsing of the new materials and some selections of displays. With the June 1 reopening, we're hoping to expand out to the whole main floor so patrons can come in and browse the collection again. Recently, we learned that the CDC is more concerned with air droplets than they are with the surfaces, so we will be able to allow patrons to browse. Our goal is opening up the downstairs by September 1. So right now, this is a great first step to get patrons back in the building safely. And again, still maintaining social distancing, still maintaining masking until we are a larger percentage of people vaccinated in our community and in our country. As far as services, we're expanding. We are forming a cross-functional team of reference assistants and clerks to assist with the service on the main floor, and as to meet the patron needs for printing, scanning, faxing, copying, and computer use, as well as the curbside and of course continued curbside and the branch location reopening on June 1. We are going to work over the summer to rebrand the branch, and by September 1 have a whole new look and feel in the space for patrons that kind of aligns with what the parks are already doing in the space. So we'll move a lot of health and wellness materials out there, offer something called playaways, which is like an audiobook on a little MP3 player. We'll offer a lot of neat things responsive to the people who use the space, and then additionally hopefully have that foot in the door with the Parks Department to be able to perform programs in conjunction with theirs. So when they're doing swim lessons for a certain age group, we can welcome a smaller group of kids in to do a story time or a program in the library's branch location there, or even in some of the locations at the field house. They're willing to work with us. So very exciting things coming. Per our strategic plan, we innovate and we meet the needs of the patrons in our community. We're in a very unique position to come out of the pandemic better than we were when we went into it, with a reforged dedication to providing services to the community and meeting the community where they are. So that will mean that we'll have to get outside of our four walls a little bit, and so you'll see us more and more in the community. I know that people have been experimenting some with that, but we're going to be more and more at Beacon Place and various other locations in the community to provide library service outside of our four walls. So I'm very excited, and our staff is very excited as well. If it weren't for them, none of this would be possible. So I want to put in that plug, because our staff keep this machine running, and without them, none of this would be possible. So thank you very much for your time and for your support. And I'm always available, even on non-library board meeting days. Give me a shout, an email, a call, a text. Let me know what you're thinking. I'll even accept carrier pigeons if you can train them. So please do reach out. My door is always wide open. Thank you for the time, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Gail, you want to go ahead? And where is your report on the Outlook?
I emailed my report. I'm not sure where it's at.
I sent the report out to board. It should be in your library board emails. So I sent out Karina and Gail's reports to your email, library email.
Okay.
But as we did last month, we do have a little show and tell to accompany my report and Karina's report. So Karina, whenever you're ready. So as John just stated, our two focuses over the summer will be increasing the number of patrons that we're serving on site, whether that's in the building or outside, looking to get to 60% of our capacity on the main floor with our services, which also means we will, John, can we have permission to share? We will definitely continue with our virtual services and our regular platform of story times and all of the normal things that we do. But I did want to highlight some particular things that are going to be coming up for the month of June that will distinguish us, I think, in the community. If we can go on to the next one, Karina. With in children's, we are going to be having our summer lunch program again. It will start June 14th and run through August 16th from 12 to noon. People will be able to stop by at the rear of the library in the back parking lot by the garage doors and pick up a lunch. They will also be invited to participate in programming or activities or come into the front of the library, check out resources while they are here. We are starting a program, Plant Your World. And as John had stated, Color Your World, our reading Colors Your World is our theme for the summer. So all of our programs will be under that umbrella and will be associated with colors and reading. So Plant Your World, there will be a Learn How to Grow Your Own Plants and a Plant and Take Home Seed Kit. We are currently working with Cole's Children's Museum. They are going to be having a truck or van that will be driving around and having pop-up locations throughout North Chicago, Waukegan, and Zion. And we are a site. We're working out the details, but we will have the van for probably a 4 to 6 hour span, which we will then offer in conjunction with Cole's Children's Museum programming similar to what was offered when they were across the street. We're planning on doing that outside or on our patio. That will be STEAM and STEM programming combined with library programming. Okay, Karina? We're having a colorful canvas. If we were, I went out of order. This, at the end of this month is Asian Pacific American Heritage. We're having an event. I would please invite you to participate on June 24th. Our local Filipino restaurant has provided us with a person who is going to be talking about Filipino culture and also a little bit about how Filipino culture relates to our Latino and Hispanic culture in our community. We're having an event, The Mysterious Creatures of Illinois, Wendigos with Chad Lewis, which is going to be a virtual event. And we've continued on, as I said last month, our trivia night was very popular at Nightshade and Dark. And the theme for June will be Pride Trivia. That'll be on June the 3rd. And then let's see what's next. In education and literacy services, our focus will be again building our capacity, having more on-site appointments for our tutors and coaches. We're going to be participating in the Lake County Job and Resource Fair, a community-based event. As John indicated, we have started to implement the Illinois Department of Public Health Association grant, which is why we did hire temporarily some new staff and promote some staff. We are supporting community-based vaccinations, scheduling appointments, and expanding our community health worker outreach program into the community and reaching beyond our Latino community to our low literacy communities and also targeting our African-American community. And last but not least, seeking to start our funding for fiscal year 2022 to the tune of about $250,000. And the last two are some events that we are the library is co-involved in, a women's health initiative. We'll be working with Rosalind Franklin, providing screening, getting educated and getting healthy, and then how we market getting your COVID-19 vaccine so people don't have to go online, don't have to register. They can simply call the library and get help. Oh, one last thing I forgot to put in my report. We will be rolling out telehealth services as a pilot next month, where people will be able to use our computers in secluded rooms with our community health workers to access primary care appointments as well as social work appointments. And that's that we're developing a partnership with Rosalind Franklin and the Jocelyn Center here in Waukegan, which will be partially funded by Northwestern and Lake Forest in a grant. Now I'm done.
Good afternoon. I guess it's my turn. My apologies for the delay in sharing my screen. My internet went down just as we were going into our turn. But yeah, so as both Gil and John mentioned, we are getting ready to kick off our Reading College Your World Summer Library Fun that we will be promoting through our usual channels, our newsletter, our social media, e-blast, but also we'll be premiering a summer library promotional video. It was a lot of fun to make. Our staff had a great time. We just saw the final cut, so we're really, really excited to share that with everyone. So keep an eye out for that. And our menu of services will continue to promote the expansion of services hours as we move to our 30 days to 30 days with updates on our posters and at the entrance of the building, on the main floor, distribution through curbside, in addition to digital promotion with our social media, e-blast, and just word of mouth with our partners and via email. And then I guess we have this twice because it's that important. Quick plug though, our pre-registration is open now through May 31st, and everyone that pre-registers gets an extra something, little prize. So encouraging people to pre-register. So good thing this came up again. And community events. This was already mentioned, but we will be part of the Waukegan Pride festivities happening Saturday, June 5th. We will be hosting a Pride story time at our courtyard. So we're really excited in addition to participating in the resource fair and the Pride Drive. So look out for our colorful van that will be decked out for that. And then of course, Juneteenth, both the CLC virtual celebration in addition to the Juneteenth Lake County celebration where we will be a stop, where we will be hosting activities, music, trivia, and giving out some book giveaways and still figuring out the logistics, but hopefully also sign-ups for our both library cards and our summer reading challenge. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Gil and Karina. Those are awesome reports. Any questions on what their reports?
I do.
I have a question.
Okay, Jean and then Josue.
No, let Josue go first.
I'll let you go, Jean.
Jean.
I got some questions. I missed last month's meeting and I'm sorry, but human resources, has that been filled?
We have made an adjustment. Susan's now our HR coordinator. We have not filled the manager position, are investigating the possibilities of adding to that department.
Are there any other positions that are still open?
Yes.
Okay. I noticed on the PowerPoint that you just did, they're having health screens on 10th Street. I see your mouth, I can't hear you.
I was muted. Yes, the library, we will be supporting a women's health initiative. There'll actually be 3 events, but the first one is next Tuesday, June 25th from 12 noon to 4 p.m. There'll be health screenings there with Rosalind Franklin.
Is it that the bus is coming?
Yes.
Okay. Are we going to be doing that anywhere else in the city?
Yes, the slowdown at this point is they want to coordinate the bus going throughout North Chicago, Waukegan, and Zion with the ability to do vaccinations. So when the bus does get started, they will also be able to offer pop-up vaccination sites.
Okay. One last thing. Is there anything where we are going to be ever able to get something? I know we don't have the bookmobile anymore, but our kids are not able to get to the library. Are we doing anything other than where you can come and pick up books in the different neighborhoods?
So there's kind of two things, and one of it is our focus for the summer is to create partnerships where we're doing what we're calling community-based services, where we will be doing story times, taking books. We're looking at how can we do checkouts off-site. You know, if we're at the Boys and Girls Club or something like that, and we bring books with us, that people will be able to take them away. And then we've also, with one of the adjustments, the promotions and creative coordinator position, will be developing our delivery service. So we're taking two approaches. One, we know that with the pandemic and people not coming to the library, we have to be more present in the community and engage the community with the idea of drawing them back as things continue to open. And then we also have to have an alternate delivery system, which again, we'll be developing over the course of the summer.
Okay, Jose. That's why you.
Do you have one more? Is that my turn now?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead. I'm excited to see that we're participating in the local celebrations of Pride and Juneteenth. Is it possible for the library to raise the Pride flag on the day of the Pride Drive and the Pan-African flag on the day of Juneteenth?
Yes, our flag will be going up on, or our Pride flag will be going up June 1st.
Great, thank you.
Do you have a Juneteenth flag or an African American flag?
I think I was going to answer.
I don't know that we do. I'll check.
No,
with
we
Chuck.
do not, but we can invest in one.
Okay, thank you. If you'll get the
I have-
African American flag versus the Juneteenth flag,
Say that again. You were.
I have a,
get the African American flag,
Mhm,
the red, green, and black
mhm.
versus the Juneteenth flag. Okay. Okay, so we're at the.
I just, I have a, I have a follow-up,
Excuse me,
Madam
wait a
Chair,
minute.
if I,
Excuse me 1 minute, Larry.
yeah, okay.
Okay, so if we
Okay.
can stay in order, that'll help us move through the meeting a little bit better. Go ahead, Larry.
Thank you. Well, you know, putting on my critical hat for a moment, critical mind, just, you know, how things are viewed in the big world of viewing things. I saw on the PowerPoint that, you know, and believe me, it's important to celebrate all the diverse elements of our community, members of our community, very important to acknowledge that. But I'm just wondering, I saw the mention of a drag show and a presentation called the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. And I'm just wondering, really, the propriety of having a drag show hosted by the library on library property and some entity or some presentation called the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. I mean, I don't know, that to me kind of goes beyond the pale a little bit, you know, in terms of that celebration. Just my thought, but again, I'm just looking at things, how the, you know, not just one group, but how others, you know, the larger perspective of things go, you know, so just my comment, you know, and wonderment.
The only thing that's hosted by the library is the story time. The other
Mhm.
things that are mentioned are things that are going on in the whole of the celebration of Waukegan. And they will be either in the parking lot across the street on Clayton or in front of Nightshade. So we are doing a family-friendly, or we're hosting a family-friendly story time.
I see. So then, okay, so then I misunderstood the presentation. So then the library is not involved on library premises in the presentation of a drag show or the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. Am I correct?
Correct. We are, I don't have it in front of me. What is the story time? It's just called the story time. Am I right, Karina?
Yeah, it's called Pride Storytime. And then I believe the organization you're referring to is who will be reading our story from through partnership with LGBTQ Center.
Go ahead.
Okay, all right.
So is the
Thank you for the
story time
clarification. Thank
led
you.
So Karina may have just answered my question. Is the story time in partnership with the National Drag Queen Story Hour?
I don't know if it's the national one. It's more of our local
Our
context.
LBG's,
Yeah,
the center,
the center. Yeah, our local.
the
Lake County
center, our local center. And again,
I would have
family
to.
friendly.
I would have to reiterate what Larry said on this, and that there are a lot of people in our community, and I would say that representing the whole of the community, we need to further examine that specific element.
Okay, thank you all. For the president's report, first of all, I want to welcome our new mayor. It's going to be some exciting times. I look forward to working with her. And other than that, I don't have a report other than I did go to the library in Myrtle Beach, which was quite interesting to see how that was set up. So moving right along to new business. Request to approve 2% staff COLA for fiscal year 2022. If we could get, John, would you like to give us a little background on that?
Absolutely, Madam President. So last month, we proposed a 2% cost of living increase and the documentation, there was some confusion. I just tried to simplify the document to explain that we have 53 total employees, of which 42 are hourly. The cost overall for a cost of living adjustment for the hourly staff would be $25,250 yearly. And then to do the salaried folks would be $12,820, making a net total cost for a 2% across the board living increase, cost of living increase, $38,070.
I'll make a motion to approve the cost of living adjustment for fiscal year 2022 at 2%.
I second it.
Second it.
Any discussion on it? Okay, within roll call. Josue,
Aye.
Robbie,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Tatiana,
No.
Jean, Jean,
Yes.
Martha, is Martha still on?
Aye.
And I for me, so motion carried for, let me just get back to it real quick. Motion carried to approve the 2% COLA for fiscal year 2022 for the staff. Okay, all right, moving right along to approve purchase of Waukegan Public Library signage from outside vendor up to $25,000. John, can you give us a little bit on that?
Yes, ma'am. As requested at one of our last meetings to see some quotes, I reached out to Chuck and had him, he had already a quote for an LED sign from a company in Florida called Stewart Signs. That one is included as a one pager that does not include installation and things of that nature. So that's why it is a smaller dollar amount. We did reach out to a local company, which is North Shore Signs out of, I think they're North Shore Signs. They're close. Libertyville, out of Libertyville. And so their proposal was for an LED sign and the alternative for a higher resolution, of course. There are all these options and many options, which the cost for additional signs was one of the things I think Josue kind of alluded to, that we need to do something with some of the other signs, not just possibly an LED sign. So you'll see some costs for a first and a second sign. And additionally, you'll see some costs for additional installations and so forth. So there's the second one was North Shore, Stewart being the first, and the third one was just a random, I don't know, not say random, but proposal from another company, Mega LED Technology, to the tune of about $16,238.50, but that also doesn't include installation and so forth. So when it comes to doing business with these companies, my recommendation and my request would be to extend my purchasing authority past the $10,000 threshold. We may not, in working out the details, have all of this ironed out. As Douglas pointed out, we haven't gotten any permits from the city to do any of this work, but I would like the authority to be able to start this process with one of the more advantageous companies. At this point, cost is of utmost importance, but I believe that an LED sign would certainly tell our story outside of our building and be able to be adjusted for closures, would be able to be adjusted on the fly using our new app, the Communico app that we're having made to kind of consistently broadcast our message across different screens, not only inside the building, but also that LED sign possibly outside the building. So there's so many options. I would, you're welcome to pick one board of trustees and I can gladly support one of these companies, but I would like your permission to exceed my spending threshold to get this sign project moving.
Okay, can I ask a question? I'm sure it's gonna come up. So this is for one sign. So for example, North Shore Signs is $24,790 for one sign.
Yes, Madam President, that's correct.
And that sign would be on the building facing, what is that? Not Clayton, but the other street.
Behind the flagpole, facing the big parking lot.
Okay.
That's the proposition they made. Now, we don't have to put it there. We can put it anywhere we want to put it, but that for visual reference, it would be on that turret behind the flagpole.
And so there's the additional ones would be the $3,298 one. Oh, no, I'm sorry. First sign is, okay, help me understand what they're actually saying to me.
So the LED sign itself through North Shore is going to cost around $25,000. As you saw, one of the quotes from another company for $16,000 some odd dollars, that's Mega LED Technology, $16,238 for just the sign. Similarly, Stewart Signs gave us a quote of $18,000. Total investment of $20,695, but special price of $18,000. So the sign itself is going to cost anywhere between 18 and 25 for North Shore sign for the LED. Now, North Shore did propose a few other signs. Those are wall signs that would replace some of the old, I would say they're turning the brick green, the cement green. So I don't know what metal is in them, but they have to paint behind the sign. So they would replace the sign that says Waukegan Public Library along County and out front at Clayton. And the possibility of a third sign behind in the back that says staff only. And that's North Shore Signs proposal.
So with North Shore, are they going to install and all of that's included in the 24,000?
That is just the cost for the sign. They did not add costs for sales tax, permits required for installation.
John, not to contradict you, but I'm pretty sure the North Shore proposal specifically notes that it includes all labor, equipment costs, installation, et cetera. So all that is included, and they do note that they also will pay a prevailing wage on that project, which they're required to.
My apologies.
Okay, so if we could get thank you, John. If we could get a motion to move into a discussion about this.
I move, Madam Chair, we go into a discussion on new signage, on new LED signage and other signage for our public library.
So could you make a motion?
Yes, yes, I move that we approve
The
further discussion. Oh, okay. So I approve. Okay, so I motion that we allow our acting executive director to go up to an amount of $25,000 to further negotiate appropriate signage, including LED signage for our Waukegan Public Library.
Okay, can I get a second from someone?
But I want to make a motion is that
Wait a minute, Martha. We got a motion on the floor. Would you like to
second it.
second that? Okay, Jean
I
seconded.
second.
Okay, now, with that, let's move into discussion. So any questions? Questions, not statements, please.
Oh, I have a question. Is that if it's possible, based on the amount, okay, and my my experience with any LED signs which have been at the high school and different places, is there would there be maintenance or a contract regarding service for this sign after it's installed, and for what's the time period? But the other thing too is, based on the amount, I would like to ask if it's possible that we could have like a graphic or a PowerPoint which would show of like a kind of like a simulation of what the sign would look like on the building for all three of them, before that we consider approving the amount.
Okay, thank you, Martha. Any other questions? Josue,
I have a statement. Is that okay?
go ahead.
I'm not against investing in the branding of our facility, of our main facility, but I also want to see investments in other infrastructure around the library, including our vehicle, so that we can expand our delivery service into a more reliable service, and with a reliable vehicle. Since I don't think that this board will support a bookmobile, I think we do need to invest there if we're going to think about investing in our facility.
Okay.
have
Another
a question.
question, was that Tatiana?
Yeah. I will take
Okay, you froze and we
Bye.
couldn't hear you.
back off of what Jose was saying and
Tatiana, you're
say
frozen.
that I
Tatiana, you're frozen, and
fully
everything you just said, we couldn't understand you.
support signage to library and improvements to infrastructure. Sorry, I support.
I have a question.
Hold on one second. Tatiana, we'll come back to you. Go ahead, Jean.
Is there any way, if we do get additional quotes or paperwork regarding these, that it can be some where they're similar, so I can say I'm getting this for this price from this company and the same thing from this company? I got all this stuff here and not knowing what it is. I'm not knowing what is the same and what is not.
Okay, thank you for your question. Did Tatiana come back in? Okay.
Sorry for my technical difficulty. I was just saying that I support what Josue said about infrastructure improvements. But like Martha brought up, my experience with the LED signage is that you have to also budget or be aware of the repair and maintenance fees for those, especially in climates like ours. The cold temperatures in the winter would incapacitate them. And so I struggle with wanting that type of signage over something more simple for those reasons.
Thank you. Brian?
Yeah, so I just have a question in terms of, I don't know if I missed it in the documents here, but if any of these quotes follow what the city ordinance already has in place for signage, because I know that there's very specific things. So you're saying, yeah, Douglas?
No, I think you're asking the right question.
Oh, okay.
I had asked John that earlier, and we haven't had a chance to look into it a little bit,
Okay.
especially where they are using, where you are wanting to use something like an EMC. There are often a lot of restrictions around those. I can't speak specifically to whether or not this would meet the city code.
Right, yeah, and I asked that because that could change whatever the costs we see here are, so.
Thank you, Brian. Hold on 1 minute, Josue. You know what? Martha is making a great point. But you know what? The Park District has some great signage outside. How, maybe somebody from the Park District could speak on that? Brian, you think you could say a little bit about the signage that you have like up at the museum?
I don't know if I would be the right person to answer
Okay.
that. I do manage that marquee, but I don't know if I'm the right person to answer the details on that.
But it's rarely down. I mean, it's always working.
Well, it actually, I mean, it depends on the weather. Like it was already pointed out, if it's super,
Mhm.
super cold, it's difficult to change it sometimes because the connection goes from one building all the way up to the marquee. So I have to wait for all the ice to melt, and if there's a lot of wireless connection in the area. So there are some difficulties we have with it sometimes, but we try to get on top of it to make sure that it's working. So.
Okay, thank you. Josue?
Yeah, my question is, if we approve this tonight, that doesn't mean we approve any of the signage that was presented in the packet?
Explain that a little bit more.
I'm wondering if we approve the 25,000 threshold for the signage, we're not approving the specific signs that were presented in the board packet, correct?
Correct. We're just approving that John has the ability to contract with someone for over $10,000, up to $25,000.
Yeah,
That's
one of
what
the
we're
things,
approving.
I would also note that it probably qualifies as a building, what's the term? There's a term of art in this the statute.
Improvement.
Yes,
Capital improvement.
building improvement or a building modification, which would require the library board's approval as well.
Okay,
And
so
will
you would
we-
have to.
Will we be going out to bid for this?
These are the 3 bids we received.
So it still would have to come back to the board for us to approve because it's a structural change to the library, correct, Douglas?
Well, what I'm saying is that, it depends on how you word your motion tonight. You could give John the authority to actually just do the sign. I've got some questions for him about the bid that I'd like to have a discussion with him offline about before, we actually go forward with this.
Can I ask another question?
Go ahead, Martha, and Robbie, we'll come back to you.
So was it Miss Jeannie that brought up regarding the, was it Miss Jeannie that mentioned about having one configuration and then going back to 3 and see what the difference in price is at? And the one that I was thinking about is that the one that sits up against the wall of the building, or is this something that's like out there, kind of like Ray Bradbury's statue? So I think, to be fair, or to be more aware of how much it really costs, is that to have all 3 come back with a price for the same configuration. But also, I would ensure that there's maintenance involved in this, or someone that's going to be responsible, because then that's where a lot of these signs go down and then they're not used anymore.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing? I'd like to ask that.
Go ahead, Jeannie.
It'd be a complete contract with the cost for installation, and because we say yes to that and then find out that it's extremely high just for that part of it, and we didn't know that when we agreed to it.
Right. Okay, so do we want to table this until more information comes? Robbie?
I make a motion to table.
Yeah, could we just get the final proposal and have it discussed here?
So we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a
I'll second that.
Okay, so who is that, the second?
Tatiana.
Tatiana. Okay, so we seconded. Okay, so it's been motion and properly second that we table this until another time, preferably the next meeting. All in favor, Josue?
I'm voting yes, but I still want to see this come back in the future in a final presentation type of way, so that we're just voting yes or no for the entire thing to happen or not.
Okay.
Yes.
Rob? I think I heard a yes.
Yeah, sorry, yes.
Okay. Ryan?
Aye.
Larry?
Well, just to preface this quickly, the library needs new signage outside. Some of that signage is, like it's been told, shared is got green behind it, it looks shabby and crummy. And so we want to look good. And so we need new signage, but I'm in favor, having said that. And I had no idea it was this expensive. And I had no idea either that, you know, of all the potential downsides with trying to keep it up and running. I don't know anything about signs, but I do know the ones we have are in need of some rehab and whatever. So I'm in favor of tabling for now to further look at, get further review of all this.
Thank you. Tatiana?
I to table.
Okay, Jean?
What happened to the other motion that we had on the floor? We never voted yes or no on that.
I believe Jane's actually right. We probably needed.
Well, that is true.
So we tabled it, didn't we?
Jean's saying that we had a motion to approve the approve the spending, but we never actually voted on that.
But you
We
can
picked up
table
a-
it. Can't you table that motion?
Yes,
So
but
that's what,
you should, but because it had been motioned and seconded, you should have voted on that prior to taking the motion to table. It's
okay,
goofy. I think the fact that we've actually started voting the motion to table, that we should complete this. And
I
then-
vote to table it, but I was just wondering what happened to that motion.
Yeah, I don't think we ever took a vote.
we didn't. Because I thought once you table it, that you didn't have to go back and vote on it. Okay, Martha,
Yes to table.
and I say yes to table. So motion has been tabled until the next meeting. And when it does come back, we are looking for more details that would connect the proposals. And now, Douglas, do we have to go back to the motion that we tabled?
I think that you just tabled the motion, so no. I think
Thank
we're good.
Okay, thank you.
Can I make a motion to approve, John, to order a banner like they make at the Welcome Center we had outside that says, yes, we are open, gigantic, with the signage really big, and put it for meanwhile on the outside of the building?
So I think
without a
because that is under $10,000 and is not going to be a structural change, Martha, I think that John should be able to do that without bringing it to the board for us to motion and approve. Douglas?
Okay.
Douglas?
Yes,
Okay, is that correct?
I believe you are correct. I don't.
Thank you, Douglas. Okay, moving right on. Ooh, where's my agenda? The next item on the agenda is, John, you want to tell us about it? I buried, okay, here it is.
Absolutely, Madam President. We have one
Yep.
quote only in the packet for a tent company. It was from AAA Tents out of, that's a local company, AAA Tent Masters. We reached out to the company that did the tent for Beacon Place, and John has said he was going to get us a quote, but didn't get it to us in a very timely manner. So based on the cost of this quote and another quote that I got for purchase, which we can purchase our own tent for about $9,000, or we can rent one for 6 months for $16,000. I believe similarly that from my understanding, the other organization who had a tent similar to this rented it basically for $1,000 a month, ballpark. So the reason I'm asking for, again, authority to spend up to $16,000 is that we can get more quotes, we can get more bids. I would like to get the bid from John before we make a decision, because he was the one that had the glass doors and all the proper accoutrements for our space. But I would like to recommend that we go ahead and move forward and not delay, because this is very important for our programming this summer.
Okay, can we get a motion to move into a discussion?
I make a motion to move into discussion this matter.
Okay, so you're gonna make a motion to approve? And I promise you, I won't do what I did the last time.
I make a motion to discuss getting some more bids. I don't know, can I do that?
Well, I think we have to deal with,
Vote it down.
Right. You can vote it down, but you have to, you need to put the motion on the floor first.
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of a tent from an outside vendor up to $16,000. Not rental though, a purchase.
Purchase. Do we have a second on that?
I'll second.
second
I'll
that.
second.
Okay, Larry, I got you for the second. Okay, so
Thank you.
now discussion, Martha.
But my having worked with a lot of ESL students who put up tents, I would make a motion not to buy a tent because you need to know how to put that thing up. And if the library staff doesn't know how to do it, they're going to mess the tent up. And also you need to store it a certain way every time, because if not, they crack. So that's my only reason. And the other thing too is that you're going to have to ask every year to the city, right? Of where, if you're going to put it out in the parking lot in front, or if you're going to put it in the back side of the library, you're going to have space and be asking for yearly approval for that tent. And every year is different based on who's giving out the permissions. That is my only reason.
Thank you, Martha. Tatiana?
I have a question about the ventilation of such a tent and also how it is handled in hot weather. And if this will require additional air conditioning or heat.
So the guy, John, who gave us a tour of what his tent would look like, the vendor who did the tent for Beacon Place, and he recommended that a lot of people don't like to have them up in the winter because they're expensive to heat, but we have free electric at the library. And so we can heat the thing for no cost. As far as cooling the thing, the goal is to use the canvas or canopy as cover in case of light rain and also sun cover. But we have the ability to put up walls even on the one that we purchase. They all have walls that can be removed. So then ventilation wouldn't be an issue because it's open air by and large. But once we get colder weather, once we get more need for walls, then there will be doors just like any of the other tents that you see out there.
Additionally, thank you, John. Additionally, I'm wondering what your thoughts are on the need for such a purchase, considering it appears that our capacity will be on the upswing. We will be increasing capacity, and why the library needs the investment of such structure when hopefully we are opening our space back up.
This was all done pre-expansion of the bridge phase. This was all the research, all the bids and so forth were secured prior to them suggesting that this was going to happen, that we were going to allow more people in the building. But I digress. Just because we can doesn't mean we should. And so the option of having an outdoor programming space has always been appealing to us. We've done programs out on the courtyard, including our concert series, summer library programs with kids. We just want to make that space more accessible, and instead of having people outside on our benches using our Wi-Fi, give them a comfortable place to sit out of the elements. There are concerns, especially regarding safety and keeping an eye on the tent and making sure that the security cameras are up to date and we can patrol the space just like we would patrol the grounds of the library. So those are some of the things that we've discussed and considered.
Are there less expensive options that don't have the doors, that we can have full ventilation and just sun cover, that kind of thing, as opposed to a full structure?
This first started with the discussion of getting an awning, a retractable awning for the library building. So installing a 15-foot wide, 75-foot wide, 15-foot long awning off of the roof of the building. And this was more appealing because the concerns to the structure of the building. Similarly, as far as safety or the ability to put tents, walls up, and ventilation, I'm not sure if I got that question answered. So please let me know if I didn't.
Go ahead, Brian.
Thanks. So it kind of goes into what John was saying about safety. Whether we purchase or rent a tent, we'd have to consider the liability of who the tent belongs to. Because if we're renting it, the liability is going to fall on the rental company versus if we purchase it. So that's another factor in terms of cost.
That was a significant advantage because the guy suggested if somebody comes along and cuts one of the doors, if we owned it, we have to replace that wall or that door. But if it gets damaged and it's owned by the rental company, then they come and replace it the next day and we are not out. We don't have to do insurance claims and et cetera, et cetera.
May I make a comment?
Hold on a minute, Larry. Go ahead, Josue.
Did you explore the, first of all, do we own the smaller 10 by 10 tents?
Yes.
Are those an option for you for the use that we're eyeing in the courtyard?
Not to maintain distance. Everything would have to take place under. We only own 2 currently. But this gives more room to do programming outside. And again, this was all under the assumption that we wouldn't be inside programming this fall. It could be a short-term rental. The whole point of the rental is that the longer you rent it, the less expensive it becomes. So a quote for a 3-month rental was about $14,000. Then a 6-month rental is only 16. So, moving it out, it becomes more affordable the longer you keep it. Beacon Place ended up renting it for 6 months, but they kept it up over the winter because it was more of a hassle for the company to come and take it down and put it back up again and just leave it up. So there's advantages to doing this over the long term. We also would have an extensible space that could be used for concerts despite inclement weather. Especially if we're going to do any bigger programs where we're going to have more people out and about, the goal would be then to be able to not have to take the concert inside, or to not have to take 100 kids running amok inside.
I guess one of my concerns is the image of our facility with a tent placed in front of it for a long period of time. Here we're trying to improve the image of our facility with getting new signage, but then we're going to put a temporary sign or temporary tent in front of the facility for a few months. I would side with getting smaller 10 by 10 tents and expand the number of those so that we could also use them across the community.
So my concern is with the concrete drop anchors. Isn't that going to further, not really damage, but it's kind of like an eyesore? And not only that, isn't liability going to go up with those anchors, down for the tent? So that's just a question, and I'm just going to move on to Larry for you to think about.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Larry.
Yeah, well, just a couple comments. I like the idea of flexibility for both the inside programming and outside programs. So I think it's a good idea. My thought is that although it's a little more, it's more expensive, my thought is it's wiser to have a company provide the tent versus us buying one, because I don't think if I were an employee of the library, I don't think it would, I would sort of resent having to go put up a tent. I don't think that's in the ballpark of being a librarian or a library staff. So I think, and the plus, the possibility of getting injured, so a personal injury trying to put up a tent. So we'd be in favor of a company or a rental company or whatever managing that, plus the liability and the insurance and the storage. It's just way beyond the ballpark in my opinion. So I like the concept, and whatever size or whatever. But I'd like the concept in general. So I think it's worthy of further exploration. Thank you.
I have a question.
Who is Jean?
Yes.
Okay, go
My
ahead.
understanding, because I guess I wasn't there when it happened, the tent is being put up to have more space for more people because of the pandemic. Somebody shake their head, yes.
Yes.
Okay. I think that it's a good idea based on everyone else is doing the same thing to give people the ability to be there, and not knowing what next year is going to bring. 6 months to decide whether we can need to have it longer or not seems like a good idea to me.
Go ahead, Tatiana.
I just keep coming back to the fact that the weather is improving right now. If it was cold weather or inclement weather, I could understand the urgency for this conversation, but considering that we're in warmer temps and we've done programming for how many years outside as it is, I understand that rain is a factor that we need to consider, but for the amount of rain versus the good days we have to make such an investment and have all of these, nothing's free, right? So we're paying the upfront cost, and then we're also taking on additional liability, maintenance, all these different things. So I keep coming back to the urgency of this in late May.
Okay, anyone else?
I just think that a lot of the libraries are open. So I just think that we need to look at when is our library going to be open inside? And then the other thing too is if we do invest in a sign that the tent is going to cover, so then it's like one thing is gonna affect the other decision.
Okay, thank you,
And
Martha.
telling you, having worked with students that do that, that's a lot of work and it's a lot of manpower. And I don't know if you don't know how to do it, then.
Okay, thank you, Martha. So we do have a motion on the floor to purchase a tent from an outside vendor. And Josue, was that to give John the authority to purchase the tent?
Yes.
Yes. So we have a motion on the floor and it's been second. So now let's move to roll call. We've had a discussion. So Josue,
No. I'd rather see the purchase of smaller tents that can be used at different facilities, different events.
okay. Robbie,
Abstain.
you abstain? Okay. Brian,
No.
Larry,
I'm not for the library purchasing a tent, so I vote no.
Tatiana,
No.
Jean, Martha,
No,
Jean,
The motion is to purchase a tent or to rent the tent?
to purchase a tent.
Purchase a tent? No.
And I'll say no. Motion not carried. We will not be buying a tent for $16,000. Okay,
I thought
so
that the
moving,
proposal was to rent the tent.
the motion
And
was
the motion was
to buy.
the motion was to purchase, but the proposal is to rent.
So if you would like to put a motion on the floor to
No,
rent,
I'm asking a question. I'm just asking.
no, that one was for us to buy a tent.
I left out the rental part and only mentioned.
You mean to
That's
put
what
the-
I'm saying. I hear two different things.
So do you want to put a motion on the floor for us to rent a tent? Okay, we're hearing no motions. We will move on.
Well,
D.
but Madam Chair, regarding I'm willing to make a motion to explore options of running an appropriate size tent for our library to rent, not to own, to rent. So I make a motion that we authorize the director to look into renting a tent for the library's use that we do not own, that's managed by another company, up to $16,000 to investigate that option.
Okay, can we get a second?
Can I ask a point of clarification? Larry, is your motion to authorize him to investigate, what it would be, or to authorize him to spend up to 16,000?
Okay, the good point. I would let me amend the motion then. My motion is I move to to allow the executive director, acting executive director, to investigate renting a tent for the library's use, and to bring back any results to our board for further review.
Does
Madam
this
Chair,
require a motion? Can't we just ask John to do it?
Yeah, I was just going to
Yeah.
suggest to the chair that this doesn't necessarily require
Right.
board action to ask him to do something. I think you can ask him to do it.
Okay, so we
Okay.
don't have a motion on the floor. We're just going to simply ask John if he could go back and look into the rental of a tent. Okay, Larry, you good with that?
Yeah, I'll withdraw the motion then based upon that. I'm withdrawing the motion.
Thank you.
Excuse
Okay,
me, are we
so-
asking him to bring us additional rental quotes? Because we already have one.
So we're
That's
asking,
what I'm
him-
saying.
okay,
Sorry.
so we're asking him to go back and look into rentals?
Didn't he just already do all this work? I feel like he just did all this work and we said no, and now we're asking him to go back and do all the work again and come back to us. So I really feel like this whole point of this, John, correct me if I'm wrong, the whole point tonight was, do you or do you not have up to $16,000 to execute a tent?
And we said,
That's correct.
we said, with the exception of two, majority said no for buying a tent, but did we want him to rent the tent now? Is that what I thought that's what Larry was saying when he started.
But we're back to square one, I feel, because if we're asking him, it's still the same information he brought to the board tonight.
But I'm thinking, if Larry would like to put a motion on the floor for John to rent a tent, that's a different motion than the one that was on the floor. So
But
that
is there
what
a
you're
reason we
asking?
would need to delay that? I mean, do we need to wait another meeting to address
No,
bringing, I feel like honestly, everyone, fellow board members, if this is urgent, like John is asking, someone make a motion. If you feel strongly we need to rent a tent, please come forward and make a motion and let us carry this on so John can get on with other issues, please.
I
Okay,
think we brought
so
up.
let me just 1 minute. I just want to go back to Larry and make sure that we're clear on this. Larry, are you clear on, we just want to walk away from this? Or,
Well, no, I mean, I feel that it's an appropriate matter and I feel it's appropriate to deal with it tonight. So I'm willing to make a different motion.
go
Okay,
ahead.
I'll make the motion. I will make the motion that we authorize John to spend up to $16,000 to rent a tent from another company, from a tent rental company.
So do we have a second for that?
I'll second the motion. It's
So
Rob.
Robbie is seconding the motion. Okay, we've had a discussion on it, so let's go straight to vote. So Josue, yes or no?
I still think that it's beneficial to purchase something so that we have it. And if we can purchase tents that our staff already knows how to put up, that our staff is used to putting up, that would be much more beneficial than renting a tent and then not having it after we spend all this money.
So your vote is
No.
Robbie? Okay, we'll come back to Robbie. Brian,
No.
Robbie,
Sorry. Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Tatiana,
No.
Jean,
I abstain.
Martha,
Since we're voting on renting just one tent, one large tent, I say no.
okay, and I say no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The vote was not carried, motion was not carried. We will not rent one, nor will we buy one. And if there's any further discussion, if you would call John directly, I think that's something that he could make a decision on for smaller tents. Okay, so moving right along. D, approve spending up to $20,000 to secure appraisal of the Bradbury collection. Can we get a motion to put this on the table?
I'll
I
make a
make a
motion.
motion. Oh, sorry.
Go.
Go ahead, Robbie, you gonna make the motion?
I'll make a motion to approve spending up to 20,000 to secure appraisal of the Bradbury collection.
Do we have a second?
I make a motion to second the appraisal.
Okay, any discussion on it? Okay, well then,
I have a
Josue, yes or
question.
no?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, Jean.
I have a question on the motion being for a certain amount. Why does it have to be $20,000? Maybe somebody will give us a quote that's not $20,000.
So I emailed about a dozen different appraisers, and I spoke with 2 or 3 of them on the telephone, and they ballparked me at 10 to 15,000 for an appraisal of a collection of this size. The gentleman that I have provided his information and his proposal letter was actually the gentleman who appraised the collection in California before we took possession for the Bradbury estate. And so he's got context, he's got photographs of the collection in its natural environs. And again, this is just requesting a amount up to 20,000 because his quote comes in at 17.5, but that's if he can't get it all done in within a period of time. He's not going to go above that threshold. So the goal would be to keep it below the 17.5 that he's proposing. It will more than likely possibly include airfare and or hotels for the person coming and doing the work. So there will be incidentals I wanted to include into the overall request for an expansion of my spending authority.
Okay, Robbie, you want to go ahead? Okay, Tatiana.
I'm wondering if there's any partnership on this cost in terms of the Park District or the Historical Society, since I assume we are expediting this based on the possibility of lending this collection out, unless I'm misunderstanding something.
So in order to fully understand the value of the collection, in order to execute an agreement with the Parks Department, we have to do our part, which is to have an appraisal done of our collection. So at this point, there hasn't been any discussion in shared costs. There may be some ability, but I don't want to pin that on them. It is our collection and it is our cost to incur.
And Tatiana, to further answer that, based on what John said, we did in fact have a discussion with them about potentially splitting the costs, and they haven't expressed any interest at this point. They see that as our responsibility because a large part of the appraisal is to make sure that we have it properly insured and that we understand the value of the collection as we're talking about loaning it. So, I mean, this is something that we have a more skin in the game.
I do, just a follow-up, Douglas, thank you. If the Carnegie was not on the table right now and they were not presenting the interest in the collection, is this not an issue that we could potentially wait a year or two to spend the $20,000 up to $20,000 on? I guess my question is, it feels like there's pressure to get this done right now because there is interest in the collection. Whereas if there was no interest, we could potentially table this cost right now.
I think there's probably some truth in that, and I don't want to wade into the matter of policy, as to whether or not you want to wait or not. Again, my biggest concern is that you've got a collection that you don't know what it's valued at, and it may be that your insurance won't actually cover the complete cost of that collection. So we want to understand exactly what it is that we have in order to make sure that we've got proper insurance on it first and foremost. The benefit of being able to have a real conversation about whether or not you're loaning it certainly is a part of that. But I see that as a secondary issue to the insurance.
Okay, John, just a follow-up for you really quickly. Sorry. I'm wondering if there's any partnerships or grants available for this kind of work, or partnerships with, say, Northwestern University or any of the larger universities that do these types of things. If there's any partnerships with that where they might send a team in to do such work.
So the curatorial work will take place by the parks when they take possession of our collection. And so that's something they're working on as far as their grants to curate the collection in the new Bradbury room of the Waukegan Carnegie Museum. One thing that did become abundantly clear, and that is, as Douglas mentioned, the value of the collection. When Ray Bradbury passed away, he only had 4 books in print. And since then, there are dozens of books in print, and his social capital, his cultural capital has increased. They've made movies and have certainly his popularity has grown. And he said that this collection is way more valuable than when we originally received it. So it is a double-edged sword. If we have an appraisal done, we may find out that our insurance is not suitable to cover the cost of the insuring the collection. So it could be advantageous too. Then the burden becomes the parks districts and the historical societies.
Go ahead, Robbie.
Thank you. I remembered my question. I didn't see it in the thing from the John Henley person. What was the previous? Do we have that previous appraisal, or?
So ethically speaking, John said that he cannot share that appraisal because it was done for someone else, and there's ethical standards in the appraiser's game. But he said that it's going to be way more than what it was originally evaluated at.
Any other questions, comments?
May I ask a question? What is the turnaround time for the appraisal to be done? And also, in other words, until the appraisal is done and you know how much insurance, there will not occur any viewing of the collection, right?
The timeline is explained in his proposal. I couldn't tell you exactly. I think it was roughly a week.
70 hours, I think.
Something like that. He can probably get, since we've done a lion's share of the inventory of the collection, the work that Gabriel and Victor and their team have done, and the team prior to them, Janet and the librarian who Jennifer, correct, thank you. They worked on this collection and they had started documenting what was in it, but it's not definitive. We still have half of the collection roughly that are overstocks and undocumented books in the collection. We don't know what's all in there. Not to mention the cost and value of the materials like the typewriter, the dinosaur statue, et cetera, et cetera.
Go ahead, Robbie.
One last follow-up. This would be the cost for us if it's in our possession. If it was, because I know this is all about like what Tatiana said, the museum potential. If it was just donated, would we still need to do this, or is this only if we're loaning it to them? And I guess the follow-up to that, what is our responsibility with this? Do we have to keep it in our collection and then loan it, or is it possible to just not have to pay that cost to just donate?
It certainly is possible to just donate the collection. I think that's what the parks originally requested, is we just gift it to the parks, but the value of the collection has grown exponentially, and it was given to the library from the Bradbury estate. So that's wading into territory that's not mine, but it is possible.
Thank you. Just wanted to ask.
So you're probably not going to like what I'm getting ready to say. Let me just preface this conversation. First of all, this collection was a gift to the library. The park district is asking for us to use this collection. This collection was going to be sitting in a box on a shelf somewhere where nobody would be able to see it. I just feel like we're prolonging this. I mean, it would be nice to have an appraiser come in, but for $20,000, and you know how I feel about spending extra money. For $20,000, I would like for us to put our money into the community, into our children, and doing something like that. I mean, if we could get somebody to do an appraisal for a less amount, I don't know. It's a big deal. I'm not trying to minimize it, but I just feel like the collection is going to be in Waukegan. It's going to be at the Carnegie Library. It's not like the collection is going to be lost or anything like that. It's going to be behind glass. I just feel like we're just prolonging this. So if we could work out those other details, maybe somewhere along the line of later, we could talk about getting an appraisal. And that's just my opinion. I said, some people won't like it, but that was my opinion. So with that, we have a motion on the floor. Is that correct?
Wait, Ms. Sylvia, can I ask another question?
Go ahead, Martha.
Okay, so my question is that if they do appraise it, then what if the Carnegie Library, because you know how long that's been going on, is it possible for this exhibition to be in the library? Because at least it's somewhere where people can see it, because if the Carnegie Library never occurs on a Washington and Genesee Street, then at least it's going to be just sitting in limbo land waiting for the people from the city of Waukegan to see it. So I don't know if that's possible to come up with a plan that once we get the appraisal, that we have it on an exhibit meanwhile. Because something like that, you could even charge an entrance fee to come in, and the library would make money off of that.
Any other discussion?
I have a follow-up with just a question or comment, whatever. So may I go forward? Okay, so my thought on all this is that the Bradbury estate gave the collection to the Waukegan Public Library. And so because he was about writing books and novels, so we have a statue of this man in front of our library. And so I'm absolutely 100% in maintaining total control of this collection. And I think it's this is a priceless, how many libraries in the world have something like, this is really a big deal. And so I think given that and the enormity of what we have and how we put a statue in front of our library to this man and how the state and it was all about books and we're a library. So I think it's expensive to have it appraised. This man, I've looked at his credentials. I looked at all this. He seems very highly qualified. He's had experience with the Bradbury collection before. And so I think it's investment well worth making. And so I would be in favor of approving this amount for this to be appraised satisfactorily by an expert in the field. I think it's very important to do so. Thank you.
So we have a motion on the floor to approve the spending up to $20,000 to secure the appraisal of the Bradbury collection. We're going to go to roll call at this point. Josue.
I'll abstain.
Robbie.
Aye.
Brian.
Abstain.
Larry.
Aye.
Tatiana. We'll come back to Tatiana. Jean.
Yes.
Martha.
Aye.
Tatiana.
Aye.
Was that an aye?
Aye.
Okay, and I'm saying no. The motion's passed. We will spend up to $20,000 to get the appraisal of the Bradbury collection. Okay, and with that, trustees, let's start with Josue.
I don't have any comments tonight.
Okay, Robbie.
I just want to thank the staff at the library. All the events this summer look fantastic. I can't wait to go to them. Really excited for all the stuff you do. Thank you.
Brian.
Yeah, I'll echo what Rob said. I know my 4-year-old daughter is really excited to start doing some library programs because for her to understand as a 3-year-old, oh, we can't go places, but now she can start doing that. I know she's really excited. So I'm glad to see all the different stuff we have planned upcoming for the summer.
Okay, Larry.
Echo. I'm very impressed. I'm very delighted to see all the good things that are going to be happening at our library. I thank our staff, our administrators for doing a very good job. It's superb, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you. Tatiana. It will come
sure
back
you
to
got the racetrack.
Tatiana. Jean,
Yes. I got a good and a bad. Bad first. I've been watching and looking. I still have not seen a flyer at my door. Okay. The good is I want to commend the employees because I had a phone call. I work at one of the schools, and a Spanish speaking person that could not use the computer to register their child had went to the library and they were assisted. And I thought that was really wonderful that they're getting assistance down there. Thank you.
Martha,
Enjoy the warm days finally here in Waukegan, and I'm looking forward to, I don't know, are we going to have concerts? If we are having concerts, I'm looking forward to them. I hope we do.
okay. Thank you. Tatiana?
Just a thank you to staff, and also I was very excited to receive the call about the home delivery service. So thank you very much.
Okay.
Sylvia,
Okay,
can I actually give a comment? I just
Sure.
remembered I did have a comment.
go ahead.
I reached out to Sylvia and John about this already. I've throughout my time serving on the board, I've received a few calls about individuals wanting to see the documents related to our board meetings, and I know that the city of Waukegan has agreed to allow us to use their board docs software to make all our meeting materials public, and so I think that would be a good move on our part to be more transparent and to have our board meeting agendas and materials accessible to everyone. And so hopefully we can see that happen this summer.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so that's everyone. Just don't forget, Juneteenth is June 19th with the city of Waukegan, inside the city of Waukegan in North Chicago. So with that, could I get someone to motion to adjourn?
I will motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, so it was motion by Robbie and second by Tatiana. All in favor, Josue,
Aye.
Robbie,
Aye.
Brian,
Aye.
Larry,
Aye.
Tatiana,
Aye.
Jean,
Yes.
Martha,
Aye.
and yes for me. The meeting is adjourned at 8:09. Thank you,